Good afternoon to the world. My name is Hadley Bajramovic, also known as La Gringa, and I'm here today without La Chapina. Hopefully she will join us, but quite frankly, everybody, this has been crazy since the Biden announcement. We have been having a lot of calls. We've been putting a lot of information out to our clients to help people understand what the announcement is. We've been meeting with our community partners. We've been jumping into web posts, podcasts, trying to hear what everybody thinks the Biden announcement means, because we only have what was posted on the DHS website last week, the White House website, and the State Department website. And, you know, as a senior immigration practitioner, having, been practicing immigration law for 20 years, and I experienced DACA and how that rolled out, I kind of can read the tea leaves and understand what's coming. And it's great to hear what other people are expecting. Always better to have a team trying to figure out a legal problem than just an individual, just because you get so much more understanding of the law, because the law is complex. It's an onion. It has a lot of layers. But what was interesting is the Biden announcement was official as of Tuesday. Biden explained his parole in place program, which would allow for spouses who are undocumented of U.S. citizens to adjust in the United States in what I'm going to call is a two-part process. Other people might characterize it differently, but for me, it's a two-part process. And Biden also mentioned that individuals who are here that are in the dreamer category, which we don't know exactly what that means yet, but basically somebody who's probably DACA age or younger, who have attained a college degree, would be eligible for a non-immigrant visa. So those were the two main announcements. On Friday, former President Trump announced, I believe in an interview, that he would be willing to provide green cards to undocumented people in the United States who have a 4-year college degree from a U.S. university. And I also believe he said junior college as well. So I would like to react to that. I think it's great if Trump wants to try and help people gain status who are dreamer age. And I hope that he's sincere. But I believe that this is very politically driven, that both of the presidential candidates, President Biden and President Trump, are trying to earn the vote of certain populations, mainly Latino. I mean, we know that the Latino population has grown significantly over time, and many, if not most, Latino families have somebody in the family that's undocumented, or at least knows somebody. I would even, make the big jump in making the conclusion that probably everybody in the U.S. knows somebody who's undocumented and probably is unaware of it. So, or maybe they're aware of it. But the point is, the undocumented population, they're people that we love, care about, work with, trust, that are suffering because they don't have status, and there are just so many things that they cannot do because of that. And particularly when we talk about the dreamers, the compelling argument is somebody who's a dreamer or undocumented didn't make the choice to come here. They were brought by a parent or both parents. So they were brought in very young, introduced into the school system and grew up with all the other kids learning American history, civics, participating in all American sports, culture, living and learning as U.S. citizens, but they're not. So why not give these people some kind of status? Well, we have deferred action with DACA, but that was ended. It was ended by a judge in Texas, Judge Hainan, who felt that providing DACA would cause harm to the state of Texas and some other states, because then there would be costs associated with printing things like driver's licenses. So we think that might happen again, unfortunately, with the Biden parole in place argument. But my reaction is there's a huge difference between what Trump proposed without any analysis of how he would do it, without giving us any further explanation of legally how he will take people who are undocumented and transform them into green card holders. And the Biden announcement, again, I'm describing the difference. The Biden announcement gave us an idea legally how his announcement would work. So that's why I think it's political. I mean, from both sides, of course, but Trump's announcement even more so, because he's making a promise without telling us how he's going to keep it. We have framework within the law that Biden is working with to offer parole in place, but Trump gave us no framework. And what he is proposing by adjusting the status of undocumented dreamers into green cards is not possible without an act of Congress. And he did not explain if, he expects that Congress is going to pass a law to do that, because that would be very difficult. We've tried so many times to do basic types of reform like that. I don't know for how long, 20 years, something like that, and it hasn't happened. So I don't see an act of Congress jumping in and helping Trump with this promise. Other than that, I've got nothing. I don't know how he's going to give people who are dreamers green cards without some kind of act of Congress, which means, introducing a bill, having the bill pass in both the House and the Senate, and then the president signs it into law. But that would be great if Trump does it. And I would hope he would capture a lot more people that are also meritorious, people with meritorious cases who need, some type of relief because they're, contributors to society, upstanding citizens, paying taxes. I mean, yes, undocumented people pay taxes. I know that's a shocker for a lot of people out there, but they do pay taxes. And ironically, they're paying taxes for which most often they do not get benefits. So many undocumented people are paying into Social Security and may never be eligible to receive Social Security benefits when they retire. So they're subsidizing Social Security for society. Of course, if you listen to certain news outlets, you're going to hear that they are taking benefits such as government programs, but they're not. It's almost impossible for somebody who's undocumented to get any kind of cash assistance. I mean, there are very isolated programs here and there, but in general, the government programs for cash assistance and for most types of means-tested benefits require proof of work authorization or citizenship or something to show that you're authorized to work. So, yeah, no, undocumented people aren't here taking advantage of our system. They're actually living to subsidize our systems. So that diatribe to the side now. I want to compare what the Trump promises to the Biden parole in place announcement that he made last week. There is an actual framework for the program proposed by Biden. In fact, we already have this program in place and has been used probably tens of thousands of times already. And it is called military parole in place. So the program that Biden announced has a proof of concept program, military parole in place, where immediate relatives of the military, people serving in the military, and there's, National Guard, Army, Navy, Marines, and are either serving or have honorably been discharged veterans who have immediate relatives who are undocumented, that military personnel can request that their family member are given parole in place. And once they're given parole in place, they have a deferred action, which allows them to work. But they also have a legal entry, which allows them to adjust status into a green card. So Biden's saying now we're giving that option not only to family members of people serving in the armed forces, but we're also giving it to spouses of U.S. citizens who have been in the U.S. for 10 years and can show, good moral character, that they don't have aggravated felonies or crimes of moral turpitude or serious misdemeanors. We don't know how that's going to work yet, but basically everybody who has a green card application submitted must do a background check. And the law is complicated, but we do have guidelines for what makes an individual inadmissible as far as criminality. So now that I've told this long story, the short version is no legal framework for what Trump has proposed. And we have a current operating framework for what Biden's proposed it. He just expanded it. So for people who are watching and hearing Trump make the promise, it sounds great. Oh, yeah, he's going to support these worthy undocumented people who have college degrees too. But no, it's not going to work. There's a framework for it, unless he gets an act of Congress. But what President Biden did offer that's similar and does possibly have a framework, we have yet to hear from Biden and the scholars who are working on this program. Biden offered that individuals who are dreamers, again, certain age, younger, brought here maybe when they were children by their parents. Biden offered that those individuals could have access to a non-immigrant status. And the reason why this is important to all of us working in immigration law is that individuals who are out of status or undocumented cannot adjust into a non-immigrant status. A non-immigrant status would include non-immigrant visas such as the H-1B, the L-1 intra-transferee visa, the O-1 extraordinary ability visa, the E-2 treaty trader, that would be the treaty E-1, E-2 investor visa, the TN NAFTA-based visa that is available to Mexican nationals and Canadians. There are a lot of non-immigrant visas that allow people to be in status in the U.S. temporarily. So they're not green cards. An immigrant visa is a green card or lawful permanent residence that allows somebody to enter the U.S. permanently. Okay, so why is this important? It means that once somebody who's undocumented is admitted into the U.S. in status, then they have multiple routes to apply for a green card, maybe through an employment sponsorship, or through extraordinary ability or exceptional ability green card applications, especially for scientists or people who have contributed to the national interest of the U.S. through the economy or through health or through cultural aspects of society. So if an individual is able to jump from undocumented status into a non-immigrant visa, it really opens up their opportunities to obtain employment-based options for a green card, and even allows somebody who has a family member to petition them. And it wouldn't have to be a spouse. It could be maybe a parent or a brother or sister. And being in a non-immigrant status would allow that person to work and wait for that visa to become available. Because the other fun fact is that some family categories, like a brother-sister category, there's maybe a 23-year wait before an individual is able to come into the U.S. based on a visa petition filed by a brother and sister. And that's specifically from Mexico, that time frame. But, there are different time frames for different countries. So I'm explaining you now, first, my reaction to Trump's offer to assist Dreamers obtain green cards, and to explain that in comparison to Biden's announcement, which, has more validity because there's an actual framework to introduce and process applications under this program that Biden announced, and also explain a little bit about the non-immigrant visas. One thing that I can toot my own horn about is that I've been working in family-based and humanitarian-based, community-focused immigration for most of my career. But at the same time, I've also worked with non-immigrant visas and waivers associated with the non-immigrant visa. The 212D3 waiver allows people to become non-immigrant visa holders where they have this problem of being undocumented. And that's what I believe that President Biden is going to use to allow people to adjust their status. I've been working with 212D3 waivers for decades. I've been working with all of the non-immigrant visas, the H-1B, the O-1, the TN, the E-2 is my favorite, and it will enable, as an investor, many people from Mexico who have businesses who are eligible to become E-2 investors. That's actually a CEO visa. That I have met so many CEOs throughout my time as an attorney who are undocumented. So hopefully you guys are going to be able to get the E-2 visa. It's a nice visa to have in your passport that says CEO, Chief Executive Officer. And I've heard sometimes the customs officers will roll out the red carpet for these CEOs. So we just have a unique ability to do all of these immigration processes at an expert level because we've been working in all of these processes at an expert level for 20 years. And so if you have any questions about what Biden announced for spouses of U.S. citizens or about the non-immigrant visas for Dreamers and the potential waiver that might involve, or if you'd like to tell me your reaction to what Trump promised, and let me know if I'm wrong. Maybe somebody out there has figured out how he's going to do this and I don't see it. Please let me know. Please make comments here, and we'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with La Chapina, who is currently in the jungles of Guatemala, probably lost, and hopefully she'll find her way out tomorrow. Just kidding. I know she's there and she's fine, and it's raining and we're busy, and she's taking a lot of calls from people who are asking about the Biden parole in place, and we're taking time explaining to people what we think will be coming up next and how to prevent themselves from being victims of fraud and to get ready and start, preparing documents in case we get that relief, and hopefully we will. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow. I am La Gringa checking out, and we'll see the world tomorrow.